once you've booted up the app, you should land here on this landing page. On that page, you have the option to either log into a pre-existing account or sign up for a new account. So first we'll show the sign up process. You just click the sign up button. That brings you to this new page where you have the option to put in the employee ID, which is exactly 6 characters alphanumeric. We can pick from any of the 4 roles here. In this case, we're going to make a test waiter. And then we also need to fill out the username, the password, and the display name if we want to include one. So first we're going to put in an employee ID of demo waiter. This is longer than 6 characters. And when we go to create the account, we'll see that we get this error that it needs to be exactly 6 characters. So we'll shorten that to 6 characters. We'll put in the username. And we'll try to create the account, and we'll see that the username we've put in is already taken. So we'll put in a new username of demo waiter. We're just going to fill out the display name with all caps test. And we're going to try to put a password in of 123456. Try to create the account, and we'll get an error that the password is too common or easy to guess. That'll be your indicator that you've put in a password that's either all of the same character or it's sequential. In this case, 123456 is sequential. So we're going to try a new password, A1C2E3. We're going to try to create the account again, and we will be successful. We don't get any more errors. It takes us straight to the login page where we can go ahead and try logging in with the information we've just established, demo waiter A1C2E3. We'll hit that enter key. That takes us right into the home screen. We're going to go ahead and log out and log into the pre-existing waiter test account. So this has a username of waiter1, and we'll put in the password. And we're just going to make a little typo in the password here. Try to log in, and we'll see that we get an invalid username or password error. This will pop up either if you put in your username wrong or your password wrong. So we're going to correct the password. We can hit this demo button. That takes us into a training mode. It's the exact same as the actual login. It's just certain features, instead of actually sending like an order to the kitchen, you'll just get a little pop-up. We'll walk through that in just a few minutes. We'll go ahead and log in normally. That takes us to the waiter home screen where we can see the table layout. We have this little home button which brings up common information like the hours of operation, contact information, a menu overview, some service notes, and the planned staffing reference. And from this menu, we can try to interact with one of the tables, and we'll get an error that we're not clocked in. So we'll go ahead and hit this clock in button up here. That'll clock us in, and that lets us interact with these tables now. And it also gives us the option to view the closed check history. So we're going to try to interact with this table again, and we'll get a new pop-up. This table is not assigned to the test waiter account, so this pop-up just tells you that this table is not one of your assigned tables, and certain actions like managing the order or checking them out are disabled. But it will still populate the information about that table over in this selected table window. So we'll hit the View My Tables button. That'll show us the tables that are assigned to us and their current statuses. We're going to click one of the tables that is assigned to us, and we can go ahead and mark that as occupied. And in this option, we will need to tell the system how many guests there are. This is by default required to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. You cannot physically change the input to anything else. So we'll say there are 3 guests here. and that updates the color of the table to yellow, which indicates that it's occupied. We don't have the option to try to mark it occupied again, but that does give us the option to mark it dirty. If we do that, it automatically prevents us from trying to interact with the order, try to issue payment for that table, or mark it occupied again. We have to wait for it to be marked clean. So we're going to see what other tables we have available. We're going to select one, mark it occupied with 2 guests, and we're going to go ahead and start placing their order. To do that, you hit this blue Open Order button. That brings up the menu. It tells us the current order status, the order ID, how many guests there are, and when we start to select an item, it populates these item details down here as well. And to add an item to the ticket, you just hit Add Item. The pork nachos have the option to add some sauce for 50 cents extra. When we try to add it, it brings this pop-up if we want to do that. We're just going to say no, and the ticket items will begin to populate in this table down here. So we want to view a different category of the menu here. We're going to go to the sides. Let's say this customer wants 2 of this item. We'll go to this quantity option here, set it to 2, and add a new item, and you see that it once again populates down here. We'll go to the second table here. We'll show them, or let's say they want to order one of the entrees here. We go to add that to the order, and this item comes with 2 sides, and we want to specify the temperature, so we have some more pop-up windows here. This lets us pick from one of the sides. This lets us pick more of the sides here. And then we have the option to add or to specify the temperature of the steak. Once we pick all of those, just hit OK, and you'll see that it populates the item here, and all of the choices we made are here in the notes section. And if we want to add another item with a different note, so in this case we'll pick a salad and we'll say the customer wants no tomatoes. We will add that note here, hit Add Item, and you'll see that it populates once again in this table down here with that custom note we added. And once we've added everything that the customers want to their order, we can either submit it to the kitchen or we can close this specific menu and leave that ticket as a draft. And then when we hit that Open Order button again, all of our information is still here. So we'll submit it to the kitchen. It shows us that the ticket has been submitted to the kitchen. Then we will close that. We can view the order status, and now we can see that there are a number of orders here that are either a draft, have already been paid for, or we're still waiting on it from the kitchen. Once the customer has finished with their food, you can open this checkout payment window. I will resize it to make it a little easier to read. Once the customer is coming in to pay, you can open this menu, select the payment type, hit that Pay Full Balance button or enter a custom payment amount. We have the option to split the check amount, as well as the option to split by seat. And then you can also hit this. That confirms the payment has been received, and it updates this status button up here to paid. And we have the option to either print the receipt. When we click that, it just brings up this confirmation message, or we can hit the email receipt button, and that brings up a field to put in the guest's email address. And then we also have the option to either comp an item or refund an item, but because we're logged in as a manager, we get a pop-up that this needs manager approval. So hitting the ellipsis button there, we'll just go ahead and close us out of that menu. And now we can see the closed check history. Here's that order we just concluded, and we can see the information here. We have the option to request refunds from here as well, print or email receipts, and if we attempt to issue a refund, it brings up this dialog that requests a manager's login information. If the manager puts in invalid credentials, you get this little pop-up for invalid manager credentials, and a pop-up that requires manager approval. And then from there, you can mark that table as dirty. That sets it to red, and we cannot interact with that table anymore until it's marked clean again. So we can either log out of the system or switch to a different user from here. If we try to hit that log out button, it tells us that we need to clock out before we log out. But if we hit the switch user button, it just brings us right back to the login screen. So we're going to log back into that account, and we're going to set one of our other tables. We're going to find an open one in our list of assigned tables, and we're going to mark it as occupied. Now when we try to log out, it'll bring up that same clock out message, but when we try to clock out, we can't clock out because our occupied table has not been marked dirty. So we'll just go ahead and mark that dirty. We'll go ahead and clock out. That gives us this little confirmation dialog. We'll hit OK, and that clocks us out of the system, and we're able to successfully log out. So next we'll show the manager credentials. We'll log into our test manager account. And that brings us back to that home screen with the table layout. But now we have some extra options of editing the table layout, which brings up a list of all the tables. It tells us what waiters are assigned to them, how many seats there are, and we also have the option of joining that table with one of the others. So we'll take table A1 here. We'll say that it actually has 5 seats. Hit that update button, and we'll see that the seat number has been updated. We will go ahead and add one of the waiters as an assigned waiter to that table. Hit that update button, and we'll see that the waiter option has been filled with waiter 2. And then we'll type in A1 and A2 to that joined tables. That'll populate this joined menu saying that table A1 is joined with table A2. We also have the option to add a table. Because we've selected table A1, it will actually tell us that that table ID already exists. So we'll put in a new table. We will call it H1. It has 4 seats, and it's not joined with any tables. And the assigned waiter is waiter 2. We'll go ahead and add that table. We'll see that it populates here at the bottom of the list, and we have a new button down here at the very bottom of the screen that lets us interact with that table. And because the manager is able to fill any role, we also have the option to mark a table as ready or clean. So we'll go ahead and set all of these tables to ready. And then because we're on a manager account, we can view all of the closed checks, see their status, make sure they've all been paid. We will select a list. If we don't select a list, we get that error pop-up you just saw. We will view the check, and we can select items to refund. We will select cash refund. We'll log in with those manager credentials again. That is put in the password, hit approve, and that'll confirm the refund. So now when we view that check history, we'll see that it's paid, but there have been refunds issued. And then on top of the refund feature, we can also see that the manager has several options down here. We can change the menu, we can view the inventory, we have certain reports available to us, and we have the list of employees. So we'll start by pulling up that employee list. We can see the list of all of the employees here. We can select one. We'll pick that demo waiter account we made. Now we have the option of changing any of the information that we provided when we made that account. So we'll change the name from test to demo. We'll hit that update button, and we'll see that the information we've provided has changed. We also have the option of removing that employee. We'll hit the remove button. It brings up this confirmation dialog. We'll hit OK, and we can see now that we've removed that waiter. And we also have the option to create a new employee. That actually repopulated the demo waiter. All of the information was still populated down here. But let's make a new busboy. So we'll put an employee ID in of bus002. Name is busboy2. Their username will be busboy2. And we'll try to put in a password of 123456. Just typed that. Add employee. We'll get that same pop-up that the password is too common or easy. We'll put in a valid password. And now we have that new busboy up here. And we can see all of the information for that as well. We will update their role to waiter. And we will be able to exit out of that menu. Hitting the menu change button will populate the entire menu here. We'll see the ID of the item, which is just the password, or not the password, the category of the menu that the item goes in, and the position it is just in that list. We have the option to either add an item, update the item, or remove the item. If we try to add an item that already exists, we get an error that the menu item ID already exists. If we try to update it, it doesn't give us any errors. It just doesn't change the information available here. And if we hit that remove button, we get a confirmation dialog. We hit OK, and we can see that it actually removes the item from the menu. So we will add a new item here. We'll hit that add button. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we'll see that the menu has populated with that new item. We can change some of the information available here. In this case, we'll lower the price by 10 cents. Hit the update button, and we'll see that the price has automatically changed. If we go to the inventory screen, that brings up the inventory for the restaurant. This is not a complete listing of everything. This is just here for testing purposes, but we can see all of the items. We can see what the unit of measurement is, be it servings, bottles, portions, just number of the item. We can see how many of that we've used, and we can see how many of the items are left in stock. We have the option to set how many items are in the stock directly, but we need to select an ingredient, otherwise we get that error pop up. We will hit set stock. It pulls from this quantity dialog here, so we'll say we have 196. Set stock, and you'll see that the stock item, or the stock field, automatically changes. We can't edit how many items have been used from this menu, but we can hit this plus 10. That'll automatically add 10 items to the stock. We can hit this minus 10 button. That'll automatically remove 10 items from the stock. And if we have an item at low stock, so we'll say we have 5 of these left, we'll see down here that that low stock listing updates to say that beverage syrup is at low stock. And then finally, if we hit the reports button here, we can see the menu item revenue. So that brings up a revenue report. It tells us the subtotal with tax, collected payments, and how many refunds we've issued, as well as the recorded tip amount, the number of open checks, and the number of checks that have been paid for. Hitting the menu item popularity button will bring up a list of all of the items that have been ordered. It'll show us how many of the items have been ordered, as well as the revenue from those items. And then we can see popularity of menu categories. So there have been 6 beverages and 4 entrees, for example. This should automatically be listed from highest to lowest, so we can track where our most popular and least popular items are. If we hit the average turnaround time, we can see the order timing report. It'll tell us the average turnaround time, which is about 2 minutes right now. The average age of the open orders, because there are none, that's currently not applicable. And then currently the order prep time should be estimated by that order turnaround. We don't have the kitchen timestamps separately captured at the moment. And then we can see the details for each of the closed orders. It tells us the order ID, the table it was assigned to, and how long it took for them to close that ticket. So we can see, for instance, that this one took 2 minutes, this one took 0 minutes, they opened it and immediately closed it, and this one took about 8 minutes to close. The personnel efficiency will tell us, it'll bring up the list of employees, it'll tell us their role, their ID, and their name, and the number of activity entries they've had. So we can see that here our demo waiter's assigned 10 tables by default, and he's done 1 activity. Manager 1 has recorded 68 activities, and then we have the test waiter and waiter tests from previous testing. They have no assigned tables, but this one has 2 activity entries, and this one has 0. And then waiter 1 has 12 assigned tables. They've had 5 tickets with 21 items across them. Total sales of $144.72 and 74 entries. We can see our working hours report. That will bring up another list of the employees and tell us how long they've been clocked into the system. And then we can bring up the inventory from here as well. That will bring up a different inventory usage report. Brings up all of the items in the demo inventory. It will tell us how many have been used, how many are in stock, and whatever the unit of measurement is, similar to the inventory button right here. Then we can log out from there as well.